This is a short guide on how to edit your video using Adobe Premiere CC. By now, you would have recorded a video in the Bar Smith recording studio, but you need to do some basic editing, like applying some effects to improve the footage, or by chopping it up to make it shorter and remove some mistakes. This video will briefly explain how to use the templates that have been created specifically for use with the BSL studio recordings. Let's quickly go over the interface in Premiere. The timeline sequence is where you arrange your video and audio files into layers to build your video. The program monitor is a preview of your video, and your video will play here as you edit it. The effects controls is where you control the position and size of your videos, the level of audio files, and any effects you've applied to your clips. The project bin is where your video, audio, stills, and slides are stored once you import them. Sequences are also contained here. The effects bin is where you can find effects, and you can click and drag them onto clips in your timeline. We recommend exploring some of the video lessons in the Learn tab in Premiere before starting, as well as our Quick Start guide. Before you start, you will need to copy files from your USB recording media onto the computer, as editing from a USB drive can cause issues with the software. First, make a folder on the media drive. This is where you can copy and paste your media files. After you finish copying your files, eject your USB drive. This will ensure you are editing from the files on the computer and not your flash drive. Go to the desktop and open the BSL Edit template. This will launch Adobe Premiere CC. Before you go any further, you will need to save this template as your own in your folder. To do this, go to File, Save As, and name your project and save it in your folder. Now let's import the recording that you're going to edit. Go to File, Import, and select the media files you want to edit. The BSL Recording Studio creates folders for each individual recording. It's a good idea to go inside the folder and select the MP4 file to avoid importing unnecessary files. If you've also got any pictures or slides or music that you want to add, this is also a good opportunity to add this too. Once you've selected the files that you want in your project, they will be added to the project bin. It's a good idea to rename any of the files so you know where they are. For example, if you've filmed an introduction, you may want to rename the file Intro Section 1. I've got two clips here of the same presentation, one with a white backdrop and one that's filmed in front of a green backdrop. I'm going to call one the Recording White and the other one Recording Green. Now it's time to start editing. First, you will need to create a sequence where you can edit the video. Select your video file, click and drag it onto the page icon. You will see this creates a little plus icon, and when you let go, it will create a sequence which will appear in the timeline and in the project bin. The sequence created will be the same resolution and frame rate as your original recording. By default, this will take on the name of your video file, but you can double click or right-click and rename to change the name, so you can easily identify it. Before you start editing, you might want to apply the preset effects to enhance your clip. So to enhance the video file, we're going to apply the Enhance Camera preset. This basically makes the footage look better, as it doesn't always come out perfectly from the camera. In the studio, there are two microphones. You'll be wearing a lapel microphone, which is the best audio source, but there's also a backup ceiling mic. We want to use the lapel mic, so we can select the effect for lapel mic only. This will remove the ceiling mic from the recording. If we wanted to use the ceiling mic instead, if you didn't wear the lapel mic or there was any issues with the recording from the lapel mic, we would pick the ceiling mic only effect. If you want to remove or adjust any of these effects, make sure Effect Controls is selected and select the audio or video layer that you want to change the effects on. Once you click this, it will bring up all the effects in the Effect Controls. If you want to adjust what the effects do, you can move the sliders and change the attributes and see what differences the effects make. Now if you see here, I'm messing around with the effect that changes how the video looks, and I've made it look a bit strange. It's not looking all that amazing, and you know, you might not be aware of what the settings were originally, so the easy way to fix that is click on the effect, click the delete key. This will remove the effect, and we can just go back into our effects bin and drag the enhanced camera effect back onto it, and it's back to how it was. If we wanted, we could go Command Z to undo the effects, but deleting the effect and reapplying it is the simple way to get it back. Now that you've applied the effects to your clip, it's time to start editing. The most common thing you want to change with your recordings is where it starts and where the clip ends. When you're in the studio, you're not always going to be standing in front of the camera when you click record on the system. So how we'll do this is we'll select the cursor tool, which is V on your keyboard or the little cursor icon on your toolbox, and we'll hover over the end of the clip. We now see a red symbol that's appeared, so we can click and hold to extend or shorten the length of the clip. The other way to do this is with the razor tool, which can be accessed by pressing C or the razor tool on the toolbox. So you can hover over where you want to make a cut and you click on it, and you'll notice here that now the clip has been separated into two separate clips. Using the delete key, you can now select and delete the unwanted part of the footage. But you'll notice here now that we've got a gap here. So we can either click and drag the footage down to get rid of that gap, or another helpful way to do this is by right-clicking the blank space and selecting Ripple Delete, and this will close the gap. Another tool that you can use is the Ripple Edit tool, and this is accessed by B or this little icon here. So this is similar to dragging the clip with the cursor, but all the surrounding clips will be rippled or moved once you finish your selection. So that's an example using the white background. Now you might also want to do it with the green screen. So let's select our green screen clip and make a new sequence, and this is our recording here. So let's apply the effects. So the ones you'll want to do is the enhance camera, the sharpen to make the footage look a bit sharper, the crop effect, the green key effect, and we want to make it the lapel mic only. So first we'll import our background, and that's going to come into our effects bin. And now we can raise the video up by one layer. Click and drag our background onto the timeline. Now we can see that the presenter is appearing in front of the background. Now if we select the clip and go to the effect controls, you'll see an area called motion controls. Now this controls the attributes of the video, the position, size, rotation, and opacity, among other things. We're going to adjust the position and the size of this clip. So let's move the position and the scale sliders around so we can make the presenter a bit smaller. And you could also do the same on the background by double-clicking the background and moving those values in the effects controls. Now let's add some text by selecting the text tool or T on your keyboard. We can click and drag a box on the program monitor to create a text layer. So this is a video for the Smith Studio, so I'm just going to add a title here. So you can change the size of the text by highlighting it and moving the size slider here, or by entering a value. If you also want to change the font type, you can do that using the drop-down boxes here. And if you want to change the position, you can look at the blue position values here and move those around, or you can select the cursor tool and move that around in the program monitor. After you create some text, you'll notice there is a text layer that will appear above the video. So you can adjust the duration of the text layer by clicking and dragging the edges of it like you would with a video clip. If I wanted to add other text files, I could move the playhead and use the text tool again, but this is all the font that I need for my video. Now we can make our final adjustments. So let's click, drag and highlight to select all of our clips, which means any changes we make will affect all of these clips. So let's click the Ripple Edit tool again and drag the front of the clip to where we want it to start, and we can drag the end of the clip where we want it to end. Once we've done that, we can now export the video. So let's go File, Export, and Media. So you need to make sure that H.264 is selected as the format, and we can select the BSL Edit Preset 1080p. If you go to the output name and click on the blue text, you can select where you want the file to save. So this will bring up a box and we can navigate to our project folder. And let's name what we want our video to be. And after we've done that, we can click Save. So if all the settings are right, we can click Export. So this will take a few minutes depending on how long your video is. So after that, we've got a finished video file that can be uploaded to a number of different platforms. So hopefully this shows you the basics of editing a video in Adobe.